I can call the meeting to order. Are we in compliance with the open meeting law?
Yes.
All right. Would you please call the roll? Here.
Vice Chair Stovall.
Here.
Member Bellis.
Here.
Member House. Member White.
Here.
Member Clay. Member McMillan.
Present.
Member Beck. Member Hutchins. Member Miller.
Here.
Member Mooney. Here. Member Slipper.
Here.
Thank you.
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm here too.
Thank you, sorry.
Item 3, public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. If you wish to be heard, give your name for the record. The amount of discussion as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed may be limited. Item 4, for possible action to approve the final minutes by reference of the regular meeting of January 23rd.
Move to approve.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 5, for possible action regarding May 2013 Historic Preservation Month activities. Courtney?
At the January 23rd meeting this year, the commission voted to approve the list below as potential activities and events to be held during Historic Preservation Month 2013. And I have prepared updates and options for each of the approved items. I'd like to run through those one by one, if it's okay with you guys. The free passes to the local museums. Staff is working on an easier way to do, we're doing some research on trying to find programs that will handle the RSVPs for some of the other institutions. I've contacted a few of them, and most of them said, well, I didn't say most, a couple, 2 or 3 said that, they wanted to work with us on how we could make that go a little bit smoother than it went last year. So if we can find the program that will accept those RSVPs and just tick them off without having somebody from there, somebody from there doing it and, us comparing lists and all of that coordination, then we're all on board. So I just have to continue to follow up. Historic Preservation and Archaeology Day. I sent an email out a couple weeks to everyone giving you a heads up that I had met with Rachel Hopkins from Nevada Humanities, and Rachel is also here to answer any questions regarding a tour that we're thinking about doing during Historic Preservation Month. And the tour is, and again, we're in the very early planning stages. It would be a partnership between Nevada Humanities and the Commission. The tour would basically start maybe Fremont in Maine and end at the airport, go down Las Vegas Boulevard. The idea is, we joke about planes, trains, and automobiles. We'll probably get a cease and desist for that, but what we're thinking is how transportation and roads have affected the history and the development of Las Vegas. So on the way, we'll talk about different events that have occurred on Las Vegas Boulevard, important events at Fremont, Maine, important events at Fremont and Las Vegas Boulevard, and at the airport. So we'll be talking about the train in the beginning, and then automobiles and planes. Maybe not. It might go out of sequential order, so some of you historians may that may be a comparison moment, but that's kind of what we're thinking about doing, and then coming back after the airport to the El Cortez for a lunchtime lecture from Peter Maruzzi. He's agreed to do it. We just have to nail down the date, and he would talk about the history of the El Cortez during the luncheon, and maybe connect it to the theme by talking about the importance of this location on Fremont Street. So again, these are just some ideas we're working on. Rachel and Nevada Humanities have agreed to assist with the planning, the organization. We don't quite know about funding yet. The HPC has approved a set amount for historic preservation activities in the past as a regular budget item, so that will come before the commission probably next month. But those are some of the basic ideas for that tour.
Will that be a bus tour?
It'll be a bus tour, yes.
Okay.
Yep. And we're thinking, 2 hours, 3 hours on the bus max, come back for lunch at noon, in the morning, it would be like a 9 to 1 in the morning so that you're not dying of heat. And we may want guest speakers to talk about a specific event if they're interested. So consider this an open invitation to any of the commissioners who might want to speak about something, particular about that may have occurred on the boulevard, near the boulevard, Fremont Street, whatever.
Is there a date at the time?
We don't know yet. We're working on what dates that individuals definitely can't do it. The dates that we have blocked out, Peter can't make it that first weekend in May. Obviously, Eldorado Sunday is out. And that weekend may be out as well because Rachel may not be able to attend on that weekend. So we're just we're just narrowing out the conflicts.
The likely would be a Saturday, potentially the third Saturday in May or the fourth Saturday in May.
Potentially, yeah. I think a Saturday is, we've had better attendance on Saturdays than we have had on Sundays. So we're going to go for a Saturday if we can.
Is the parade on Sunday? I wrote down the 19th somewhere, is that right?
18th, I think.
Oh, the 18th,
Oh,
okay.
is it Saturday?
Saturday the 18th, okay.
Right.
Would you be doing it that same day? Is that kind of,
We have a conflict that weekend.
Oh, okay.
But, if, as Rachel has said, if nobody else can do it except for that weekend, then we would move forward with it. The parade is in the evening, so we
Yeah.
do the tour in the morning. It's a long day for all, but not for the most dedicated.
No, it would be nice to have it on a nice Saturday where you're not focused on anything else other than that event. Would be great.
So before we move on to the other items, are there any more comments about that? Rachel, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Do I have anything I want to sweat? No, not at the moment. I think we're kind of excited about how it might work out and looking forward to building this partnership, which kind of draws on my background and interests. I'm new to Navarre Humanities. I have a background in historic preservation, so we're hoping that this partnership is going to be fruitful and creative.
sounds like a great idea.
Do we have any sort of bullet point stops or historic elements already?
No. We have like maybe 2 or 3 that we've kind of thrown out there. We've talked about potential speakers, and of course, with the speakers comes different interests about what they would want to focus on. So again, we're so far, we're really in the planning stages. If we have suggestions from the commission, that would be great as well. Even suggestions for speakers.
Well, I think your starting point at Main Las Vegas Boulevard is an excellent starting point. I mean, at that point, one point in our history, that was, we had 3 U.S. highways that were focused right on that corner of Bonanza and Main. Well, actually, Main and Las Vegas, Main and Bonanza, rather than Las Vegas Boulevard.
I would like to suggest Bob as a speaker.
I would suggest,
Dorothy.
that'd be fine. I'd be more than happy to wherever there's a hole that needs to be filled.
We might also do, if we had one main tour guide, say, and then we had sort of these guest speakers that might talk about a particular section of the tour that would, stand up and speak about that specialty or something.
Because my first reaction was, forget about the strip, let's go down Paradise Road or more interesting, Maryland Parkway, or down Maryland Parkway or something.
And actually, we started and incorporated how the road, the development of roads actually developed houses, and Paradise or Maryland Parkway used to stop at St. Louis, and then there was a gap all the way to Sunrise Hospital, and you had to go around over to Paradise, and and the neighborhoods as they go, the architecture, the change. I mean, all that could be incorporated into if you're really just going out in one direction and doing the zigzag.
Sounds like a speaker.
Well, we can also come back, on the way back,
There you
maybe
go.
take a different route on the way back.
Okay.
It might be, again, we don't want to make this an 8-hour tour. We want this to be sort of,
3-hour tour.
yeah.
Well, I mean, the strip, US 91 there, the highway all has an important part of our links to Los Angeles. And if that's legit, as opposed to sitting there talking about every hotel as we go down the strip.
Yeah.
You can always take a turn past the Neon Museum, and then you can talk about everything, because all the signs are there.
Right.
I think we're going to have talking about a sleepover. Yeah, I think that you're right, that will be the challenge, is to try and get all in 2 hours, what you're going to try and accomplish
Yeah.
in 2 or 3.
I think it's also going to come down to the personnel. We find that the person, as Courtney said, the interest of the person that's guiding the tour. I love the idea of stopping up and just picking up these guest speakers at various, having little flags or something. Another thing we might do is make sure we get a bus with some video capacity so we can refer to old footage. It's another.
So will you be back with a budget? Or
Yes.
what's the,
Yes, we have to come back with a budget.
and is humanity, which is always flush with cash, is it kicking in, or is it just us?
At the moment, I've been talking more about giving my time as
Okay.
but we can hammer that out as we also work out what the costs are likely to be as well.
Would that entail writing a grant? Would you have to do that? Mini grant or something?
No, I mean, the time frame would be just too short, we would be able to do that. I think we would be relying on, the bulk of it would be the HBC and related funds.
And how would
Do mini
people,
grants anytime?
how would people sign up for it? This public at large, or how would you?
Yeah, and that's another,
Ooh.
and it probably we would incorporate into that overall, the computer program that we're looking at right now on how to do the RSVPs for the other events. It would probably be just wrapped into that. What we've done, I mean, it's easy to do it just for us. We already have that ability, but doing it for the other institutions is what we're trying to find. If there's something easy that we can just, handle it all at once, so there's not a lot of different things going on.
So, I mean, even on the biggest of our urban top buses, there's like 80 seats.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who's the target audience? I mean, do we fill it up with us and about humanities people, or is it,
Well, we've had a pretty decent turnout for tours in the past. The more we advertise, obviously, the more people we get. But, we've done okay. Where we run into issues is when we try to have, several different events spread out over the month, big kind of things that we rely on a lot of people to show up to. So I think we've learned in the past to kind of focus it down a little bit.
but it would be advertised to the general public?
Right, yeah, through the HPC webpage on the city, and now since we have Facebook now, we can put it out on Facebook and email and brochures.
And Nevada Humanities would do the same. Also, we were talking about getting media interest, maybe from the state of Nevada, having our main speaker on there to talk about it, or print outlets as well. So,
Channel 3.
I think you were going, though, that 80 may not fit. I mean, we'll have more than 80.
yeah, that's
It would be nice, I mean,
We were hoping that.
it'd be nice to sell it out.
Yeah.
Be a nice problem.
Yeah, we're hoping. Oh.
Well, then how great would that be to just have that on the website, sold out
Yeah.
next year, and we just be overwhelmed with it.
Well, are we charging, or is this a free event?
That's another thing we have to think about, because, again, the HBC has approved, I think it's $1,500 annually for, or $1,000 annually for HP Month activities. I'll have to review the old paperwork, but anything above that, we may have to spread out amongst the attendees or Nevada Humanities. Again, we just don't know how much it's going to cost. So we might want to charge for the lunch, like $5 a head or something for the lunch at Del Cortez, or, maybe they could kick in some of that. And we haven't gotten there yet.
Okay, the bus is gonna cost about $600.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good.
Would you, yeah, that's good.
Sarah,
So do we need action on that to accept?
are we going to do these all at once or one at a time?
The end of the item, you can make a motion to approve or, whichever items you'd like to move forward with. But we still have just a couple more to go.
Oh, okay.
So how this is good to me, Chairman, Courtney and I talked about this a little bit offline, and because we've put a bunch of things into one item, we shouldn't be picking and choosing and voting on some and not on others. So what we should do is have a conversation about the item that we've announced to the public on our agenda. And then at the end of all of our conversations, if there are things that we want to strike, we would move to approve the item minus whatever it is we didn't like.
Colorado Days, Colin Christie of the Las Vegas Cadillac and LaSalle Club has confirmed that they would like to participate again this year. I have not heard back from Mike Pratt from the Jim Rogers Auto Collection.
I'll check on that.
Okay. We may not need their cars if we have, 3 or 4 from the Cadillac. and
Oh,
LaSalle.
well,
I submitted the Eldorado Parade application, so we for sure have a spot. The Historic Preservation Fund proclamation and annual awards will be read at May 15th, 2013 City Council meeting. We are seeking recommendations from the Commission for award recipients. My first recommendation would be the owners of Real Cortez, because they initiated that whole process. Of course, we have additional. They can be emailed to me as well. We're at Saturday.
I've forgotten, do we have categories or just anything?
No, not really. I don't think so.
do we have people? I thought we had some categories.
I can establish some for next month's review, and the commission can vote on them. We just need the awardees by April, so we do have time.
I recommend I can't think of his name right now, but the old Cashman estate on the backside of Mary Friedland's house at the corner of Birch and next street over from Ben, Birch and Westwood.
Did they restore it?
Oh, it's
Oh.
amazing. Yeah.
I'd like if Courtney could come up with, send out a list of proposed, whether it's Person of the Year, Project of the Year, or Best Foreign Film, depicting Nevada. We can always create additional categories if something pops up that's worthy.
And he's done this out.
Oh, that's good.
The real guy. Not Ben.
The real guy.
I'll give that to her.
Maybe Courtney, if you could just identify some of the past categories that we've had.
Sure.
That would be good too, yeah.
The Chico Archaeology and Historic Preservation web calendar, I will just continue to give them, as soon as we confirm the events.
Any discussion?
To accept these items?
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll move to accept these items.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, for possible action regarding historical interpretive markers at Lorenzi Park at 720 Twin Lakes Drive.
On July 8, 2010, the HPC approved an application for a certificate of appropriateness for improvements and reconstruction of Amendment Park. The approved work included historical and physical markers to be placed throughout the park on the condition that the text and images be approved by the commission prior to the manufacture and installation of the markers. There are a total of 16 sign panels located around the lake. Each sign is 1/8 inch thick fiberglass with 1/8 inch thick UV-resistant plexiglass sacrificial covers, like that. Bolted to the concrete piers. The concrete piers have already been poured. They're in place at the park. The markers were designed and written by David Logie from the City of Las Vegas Department of Public Works. He's also here today to answer any questions. And pending approval today, the markers will be installed April 2013. We have received some comments from Vice Chair Stovall and Commissioner Millman about the marker text. And most of those have been resolved. There were a few more typos. There were just a couple that were left remaining that we might want to get some assistance from the commission on how they would prefer it to be worded. And also, I emailed Vice Chair Stovall earlier, but the comments that you submitted with the flyers, if you could just let Dave know where you found those, and then maybe we can get the larger resolution ones.
Well, one's a review journal I had, and the other one I just got from Mr. Google. It was just, these are not ones that I have the original of, but I might clean them up a little bit, but. Yeah, the black and white one is from the review journal, and the other one. Interesting, if you look at the head of the lady, it's different, by the way. They changed the head as the band leader changed going around the country. So they had it proper for the location.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, Valenti was a pretty swinging place. I mean, with those bands coming, there were lots of bands that were coming and going, really didn't need to be recognized.
You could probably get a pretty good copy of the one from the other day.
Well, the other one, there is a photograph that is on the website of an actual photograph of the group that was put on by the daughter of one of the played in the band. It's a great photograph, but it would take some work to get a hold of her and see if, she could give us.
What's the website?
Oh, I just, I don't really remember. I just Googled the Harlem Playgirls and Ellie Rice. I can probably find it for you, because I think
I can search for it, I'm not sure. But you don't have access to that original color.
I sure don't. I was very pleased just to find that one was on the website, on the internet.
Do some research, see if we can find that.
Bill?
As a general comment, I know I made a few comments, but it's a really good piece of work. This is one of the better things in my opinion. Having done some work on the Lincoln Park myself, and having worked there for 25 years, I got to know what I thought was a lot about it, and this product is something of a. It seems like it took a lot of time and effort to do this, and it shows. It's really good. I made a few comments that I thought, might be better put, but I don't want that to detract at all from what I think the report is really good.
I really would echo that. I read the whole thing, and I just a lot of source information, a lot of details, and I hope somebody had a bit of fun in doing this, because there is, I printed the whole thing out, so it's almost a reminder.
That reminds me really quickly, I'll just mention, I printed out, it was too large to include in the package for everyone, but this is the fact check for the text and the images, so I can pass this around if anybody has any specific questions.
And I made a few comments, but nothing, I don't think any of the comments I made are major issues. They're just things I would have done differently, but they were all different. So on, you can read them or not. But solid piece of work, and we should obviously, we should prove it.
It's okay with the commission, we can move forward with this, and David will be work out the text with some of the, incorporating some of the comments that you have. And accept this.
I'll make a motion to approve with with Courtney's comments included.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7, report by Department of Planning regarding the status of the 2009 National Scenic Byway Grant Project located in the median of Las Vegas Boulevard South between Carson and Clark.
The city has formed a partnership with the Neon Museum to manage the National Scenic Byway and implement the action items from the Las Vegas Boulevard Scenic Byway Corridor Management Plan, which calls for the installation of 20 restored historic neon signs in the median of Las Vegas Boulevard within the boundaries of the byway, which is between Sahara and Washington Avenue. The city applies for funding every year from the Scenic Byway Program, and past funding has supported the restoration and installation of the Hacienda Casino sign at Fremont Street and Las Vegas Boulevard, and the Horseshoe Casino, Silver Slipper Casino, and Bow and Arrow Motel signs between Washington and Williams Avenues. In 2012, the Society Cleaners Normandy Motel and Lucky Test Motel signs were installed between US 95 and Ogden Avenue. Funding has also supported the construction of the Neon Museum Visitor Center, which was completed last year. The 2009 National Scenic Byway Grant application requested $313,760 to restore and install 2 historic neon signs in the Las Vegas Boulevard median between Carson and Lewis Avenues. The signs were chosen by the Neon Museum and include the Golden Inn Motel and the Apache Motel. And funding for the project has been awarded. It's awaiting approval by the pass-through agency, the Nevada Department of Transportation. We were given a tentative approval date of August 2013 and a 3-month installation deadline of November 2013. There is a meeting in March to go over the scope of services, so I think that this is finally starting to move forward. The 2012 National City Byway Grant application was denied, but the city is committed to working with the Neon Museum to continue to search for funding to complete the project all the way to Sahara.
Why did that get denied?
It was denied because it was just, from what NDOT explained to me, is that it was very competitive. It was a great project, but there were some, what they had done this year was they lumped the scenic byway funding in with other transportation fund projects, so it was competing with road projects and other public works projects that were coming before this in terms of emergency and need. So that is how they're going to move forward with the scenic byway program funding in the future. It's not going to be its own fund anymore. It's going to get wrapped into state transportation grants. So I don't know what that means, but NDOT explained to me that they would work with me next year to make sure that we, or at least try to prepare an application that is maybe more competitive with the transportation funds. Still focusing on the signs, but there might be some thinking we can do here and there to avoid to make it more competitive. So that's the future of the scenic byway funding. So we will always look for other funding sources for that.
Will we always apply for that, or
Yes.
is it just like no sense applying?
No, I think we should continue to apply, because the more you apply, it also establishes a need and a commitment from the fund.
Courtney, what's the estimated or average cost of putting one of these up?
Oh, it depends greatly on the sign itself. I think the project that we just finished, it was much over budget, what we had asked from the scenic byway program, and it was like $150,000 a sign. So we ended up having to have the the project supplemented by the Centennial Commission. And that's for the restoration and installation. So there's a lot of work.
Is there any future plans to maybe go down Fremont Street?
That was, it's not in the Scenic Byway Corridor Management Plan. That plan identifies just between, on Las Vegas Boulevard between Washington and Sahara.
But are there anybody else thought about maybe
I think
extending
it'd
it?
be tremendous, because, I mean, the first block of Fremont East, even though those are new signs that were put up, the Martini glass, and those aren't, restored signs. But it just really adds to the character of it, and the way things are happening down Fremont Street right now, we'll be talking about it for a long time to get it done.
The Department of Planning hasn't contemplated Fremont Street yet, although there is a wonderful supply of the old motel signs still in existence there along Fremont Street that
There
would
is.
certainly benefit from restoration.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's probably helpful to concentrate our efforts on the scenic byway first to begin with.
Sure.
And then as we have some degree of completion there, to move on to Fremont Street, which would be the next logical choice.
And a motel sign would be perfect. I mean, that would be,
Yeah.
Well, and
They don't need
especially
to
if they could be
installing-
preserved where they are.
Yeah.
Right.
Would those businesses be
Is there a
eligible
way
for
that we
city
can lock down on through
grants?
the Neon Museum? I know that they've identified all those signs, but is there any way to, I mean, to pass an ordinance that they cannot destroy those signs or remove those signs unless they're,
Well, I don't know that any of the signs are in danger of being destroyed by the Neon Museum, but we are, as far as picking which ones go on Las Vegas are going to go in the median, it changes with every project, because as signs get moved around within the collection, it costs more to actually get signs that are at the back of back of the collection leaning against the wall, because you have to move all the signs in front of it. So that also changes the cost estimate as well. So just keep that in mind. And we are trying to lock in the signs that were as close as possible to the locations that, where they actually were originally located. But beyond that, it does change.
Are there signs that are actually still being used on Fremont that would be eligible for city grants to refurbish?
There are two programs available through the city's Economic and Urban Development Department. One is a VIP, or a visual improvement grant, which can be used for exterior improvements to buildings or signs. And then the other one is a Quick Start grant, which can be used for a number of different things related to reconstruction or new construction. So either one of those programs is currently in existence.
how
Is there-
appropriate would it be for HPC or some government city entity to send a letter to those sites that are currently still have signs up, to give them some sort of a notice that if you're contemplating destroying it or doing something with it, that please get a hold of us first or something?
well, I know the museum has done that, they,
Oh, they have?
Well, that was for the Living Museum program, which, encourages people to keep their signs in place and refurbish them, and then when they're done with them, then to donate them to the Neon Museum. But the first best choice for preservation is always to leave it in place.
What about the Blue Lady, Blue Angel? Have we made any effort to contact them to say, we want it, don't move it?
They've actually, I think they've spoken to the Neon Museum.
Wasn't that the condition of getting that project approved, was that the sign and the lady had to stay in?
Yeah, I think they've already made arrangements with the Neon Museum for that.
Because there's some wonderful ones down the Paradise was there, I mean, there's some great.
Do we need a motion on that?
No.
Okay, item 8, report by Department of Planning regarding administrative reviews of applications for building permits for properties listed on the City of Las Vegas Historic Property Register. Item 9, report by Department of Planning regarding the Historic Preservation Commission Centennial Legacy Budget.
I have an update. Finally. The first amended and restated memorandum of understanding by and between the Commission of the Las Vegas Centennial and the City of Las Vegas on behalf of the HPC was approved at the Las Vegas City Council on February 20th. The amendment allows the City's Department of Planning, in conjunction with the Historic Preservation Officer and the Historic Preservation Commission, to administer the Centennial Grant funds and monitor the historic preservation projects as approved by the Centennial Commission by the Centennial Commission. So, in addition to that, the text amendment to the Las Vegas Unified Development Code, Historic Designation Overlay District Chapter, was submitted as part of the regularly scheduled house cleaning of the UDC. And the amended text provides the Planning Department as the city manager's designee the authority to spend the Centennial funding. And that is scheduled, I have the wrong date here, February 21, 2013 Planning Commission. So I will get the correct date, I'm not sure. I'm going to blame this on Robert. I'll get the correct date for you, but the MOU was approved, so I think we can start accepting grant applications for review by the commission at this time.
We're getting this money from the city commission, not from the Centennial.
It's from the Centennial, and we've already received it.
We want to,
I'm trying to lead you down the path here. Because we're not getting this money directly from the Centennial, it's coming through the city, is that correct?
Well, it's.
Let me ask a direct question.
The agreement is between the commission and the city on behalf of the agency.
Because it's with the city, and the city got the funds, are there any, the Centennial Commission can do things that we can't do with the money, is my question. I think the Centennial Commission can give money to private entities where we may be limited by the things that we can do because it came through the city. That's where I kind of, but if it's Centennial money, does this give us the freedom to dole it out to somebody who we want to preserve the house, but it's a private house or it's a business?
Okay, so this is a public commission that's been appointed by the city council. So all rules that would apply to the city council and the expenditure of funds will also apply to you. So things like the public purpose doctrine would still apply to the use of these funds. For those of you that are familiar with that, I don't want to do some sort of dissertation, but basically, when we're spending money, the balance, on balance, the money has to go to the public and not the private. Doesn't mean we can't spend it on private if there's an overriding public benefit. But to answer your question directly, the rules on the expenditure of funds, no matter the source, are the same for either the city council or this commission. Does that make sense?
Sure, it makes sense. I guess if the Centennial Commission gave the city council money to give to a private business, the Centennial Commission can give money to a private business that may not raise to the level of great public interest. The Centennial Commission doesn't have to operate like the City Commission does. Centennial Commission, like a 405, 401.
It's a 501c.
Right.
501c4.
I think the City Council has a higher standard to some degree, and we would have to follow the City Council standard,
Correct.
is my understanding.
Yes.
So we could give money to private, but it would have to have a significant public interest.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's what we're here to help you with. If there was a program, for example, the HBC wanted to embark upon, we would help you decide whether or not that would qualify under this overriding public purpose doctrine or whatever else. There are purchasing rules. There are a lot of bureaucratic rules that we can help you, manage.
I guess we're sometimes saying, we've been talking about small grants. A big grant, there may be a big public interest. A small grant that goes to Fred and Louise who want to preserve their little carport, something like that, it doesn't have a big giant overriding interest, whereas preserving the West Side School or the Victory Hotel or something like that may have a giant interest.
Right, so programs, just, I'll be very brief, but certainly, if there are small grant programs that would appear to benefit just private entities, on the surface, they may not, because frankly, these small grant programs, the purpose of them might be to preserve the historic character of a neighborhood, which is important to the city of Las Vegas.
Okay.
Right, so we'll help you look at these things that you do and advise you.
Great.
And then you can decide from there as to what it is you want to do.
Establish those criteria.
Correct.
So how much money is there, Courtney?
$12, but it's just,
Not enough.
What's 67 plus 25?
70,
Almost 100, right? Yeah.
90 something?
20,000.
725? 92. So 92,000, and then are we supposed to spend that within the year?
No.
It rolls over?
Right. We may need to get a revised budget approved. The last one was, it's been a while, so we may want to prepare another one to be submitted with the planning budget. This year will be, probably good.
And that would include how much we're going to allocate for grants to whoever asks?
I think it's more, what the commission approved was $25,000 for small grants and the rest going into an operating budget, which is then broken up into these smaller line items of specific projects. So what you may want to do is just look at the specific projects, or give more to small grants, or whatever you guys decide. This was done to kind of make it a little bit easier. We had about 4 or 5 different categories, and it was getting confusing.
Do we have any rules like the applicants have to be city residents?
No, we've approved, I know this is, I don't know if we should approve the project for, that were.
Blue Diamond.
yeah, but that was pretty,
Yeah, I don't,
the filter was really taking the mayor and Councilman Coffin, that they want to really look within the city limits. Yes, you could give some money to the railroad cottages, the Heritage Museum in the county, but it had to almost be what the terms that James used, it had to be some overriding significant, but to keep the focus in within the city of Las Vegas. So.
I think that's how we've always kind of looked at it in the past, is if anyone comes into the county with an application, they have to really justify it, that it is tied to the history of the city.
And that the county kicked in some money.
I mean an applicant that resides in the county, or a group, for instance, the Blue Diamond Group. If there are the rest of people that I think that came to the larger commission and asked for funding.
Kind of lucked out on that one.
Perfect day.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Oh, so what happens next?
I will put together a budget for approval for the commission.
Okay. Item 10, report by Department of Planning regarding historic and archaeological resources in local media. Questions, comments? don't see it in here, but there was a Margot Bartlett Pesic thing on neon in which she said the Oasis Cafe was the first neon sign, but Bob has shown that to be not true. It's the Overland Hotel.
Not the first
If any commissioners see an article that they would like me to forward it to you.
This was great. I enjoyed this one immensely.
Oh, yeah, that was submitted by Mary Couch.
Oh, fantastic. Because I would not have seen it otherwise.
Okay. Item 11, report by Department of Planning regarding project update list.
Woodland Park at Blue Springs, they are putting the markers in this week. They think that it will be done by the end of the month. Interesting side note, they found the bones. They were digging for the posts for the markers last week. On Thursday, they found bones. And so, they had to stop the project and put the yellow caution tape around it, and we contacted the State Historic Preservation Office for guidance, and they said to call the coroner. The coroner then said call the marshals, which we did. They went out on the site and we gathered samples and took statements, and then took it to the coroner, who determined it was a cattle. So it was a lot of good drama on Thursday. So the project is proceeding. And as I was joking to Flynn, I was reminding him of how the discovery of the African American burial grave in New York at the Tubes halted that project for 16 years. So,
With that joke going on, Richard III was just looking for a big parking spot.
right. Well, we were hoping it was like popular. Just about. So regarding the Adobe, the structural engineer Mel Green submitted his final report. That is going to be presented to the Leasing Council Commission on April 22nd for their recommendations for the treatment of the Adobe, which will then go to the Preservation Commission for approval before we move forward.
Is it going to be where people can walk, or is it going to be stabilizing it? We're going to build it up again?
Well, those are the different treatment options that Mel laid out in his report. We need to get cost estimates, which I'm working on now. It really depends on what some recommendations from the Preservation Commission as to how you want to see it interpreted. And the report kind of talks about the pros and cons of the different treatment options. One thing with Adobe is it's so fragile. You cautioned against having people actually walking through the building, although it's not an impossibility when you do that. It needs to be stabilized and brought to code. Of course, Mel has ideas for how that can be done, so it's not too much of an impact. It has to be rebuilt on the one side, and all the blocks could be numbered and then restacked. So, or, do we leave it as a ruin? Those are some of the options.
Do we know how many rooms it was? Is that what it was, or do we know if there were more?
I think it was with like a small kind of storage section. I'm trying to remember. It had a fireplace,
Oh, okay.
which I think is interesting. But where I'm kind of leaning, and just to throw this out there, is rebuild it, close the doors, put something, in the windows, and where visitors can look through the windows and see the interior space but not go in, and not have it gated off. The other question then is the roof structure that's covering it, protecting it. With Kyle Ranch, they just rebuilt the original roof over the Adobe, which serves the same thing. And this may warrant a site visit, where we go and look at it on one of our regularly scheduled commission meetings. We could have a meeting at in the visitor center.
I
Well, we could.
Field
I
trip.
think it'd be worthwhile to do that. I don't disagree that with your idea, they're so small, you lose the sense of how people lived, because you can't get in there, you don't feel that this is not a big house. I mean, how many square feet roughly would it have been? 300 or 400?
About the size of this, not even this big. Yeah.
A two-car garage is 400 square feet, so.
Yeah,
Half
it's
that.
much smaller than that. But we can discuss that further.
Do we need to make a formal, under 13, maybe? We can talk about where we want to meet.
You can talk about setting agenda items
Okay.
on item 13. If we don't have something noticed for you to discuss an item, you can't discuss particularly.
So it had to be the following.
13 for you, pal.
You said money to hire outside counsel to get it.
We want Daniel Day-Lewis here.
There's a remedy.
Logistically, she has to bring all the personnel, yeah.
Yeah.
That's here.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have an item for number 13.
All right,
Field trip.
on to item 12, report by Department of Planning regarding downtown project list.
Sadly, this has been a very slim month for downtown projects. The only new project that we had come in was item number 38 on the map, which is a temporary parking lot just outside of the entertainment district to serve the needs of facilities within the entertainment district. So that's pretty much it. However, I will tell you that I'm anxiously awaiting 2 new restaurants. Radio City Pizza hasn't been there yet, and Rachel's Kitchen is on the verge of opening there in the base of the Ogden Tower. So, new restaurants coming up.
But, Single Suites is what, for your hotels on Fremont, I understand? East of,
I haven't heard that.
I heard a half a sentence of that last night,
Oh,
so,
really?
yeah.
We've got 3 motels.
Yeah, they're the old hotels that we were talking about. I'm not sure which ones,
No, they haven't come into our department, so
okay.
I haven't seen them. But apparently if they have, they'll be getting Siegel treatment.
It was mentioned at that architect design forum meeting last night, there was a panel discussion for architects on the design of Las Vegas. Okay. Here.
Is that what they're explaining?
Yeah.
I thought I turned it off, I'm sorry.
Anything else on the downtown project list? Item 13, discussion regarding topics for future agenda items by the Historic Preservation. Comments made during this portion of the agenda by individual commission members shall refer solely to proposals for future agenda items, and any discussion shall be limited to whether or not any such proposed items are within the purview of the commission and/or whether such proposed items shall be placed on a future agenda. No discussion regarding the substance of any such proposed topic shall occur, and no action shall be taken regarding the proposal. Do you have something about it?
Well, what would be the proper process to use to suggest we have a meeting at Julie Springs?
Can the city clerk do that?
You would offer that as an agenda item for the next meeting if you want to have that conversation with the full commission.
Okay. So I'd like to offer that and put that on the agenda for the next meeting.
Can that do that? Does a meeting in relation to, does it have to be a meeting or can it be a field trip, kind of the way we went to the Mob Museum last year?
Well, yeah, we have to talk about how you guys can go with more than a quorum. We've had this conversation before, but as you recall, since you're a public body, you can't meet more than a quorum. You can't have a meeting, right? There's an official legal term, meeting. You can have a meeting with more than a quorum without public notice. Now, is a field trip a meeting? Well, sometimes it is and sometimes it's not. So in order to do something like that, we have to make sure it's not a meeting. or there's possible violation of open meeting law, and there's possible criminal penalties. Nobody wants the AG poking around saying that one of the city commissions did something wrong. So what we have to do is figure out, can your field trip be classified as something other than a meeting for purposes of the meeting law? Or is it a meeting for purposes of the open meeting law? You know,
Can it be a fact-finding mission?
well, that's right. So we can talk about, yeah, let's, if we're going to have this conversation at the next meeting, let's have the agenda item. We'll talk about it, and then we can talk about the parameters of which it'll either be a subject of the open meeting law or not. And if it is, there's some practical things we have to do. If it's not, then you guys just meet and go and tour, right? But that's.
But let me make sure that Courtney, that the item that I'd like to put on the next agenda is having a full-fledged meeting at the Truly Springs. I'm looking for the meeting to be held there rather than, and part of that would be this, we could have the discussion of reviewing the recommendations on the Adobe.
Which would be the May or June meeting. The Centennial Commission in April.
Well, May School is in June.
Yes. That's also the historic preservation meeting. I don't know if
Perfect.
that's logistical.
But even for next
Well, let's have
month,
that conversation next week.
Yes.
Let's have that conversation.
even if it was next month's meeting, I mean, couldn't we just notice it that that's where it's going to be held as opposed to in this room?
That's how it would work, and so there are some practical considerations. First of all, we have to talk to the city clerk to make sure that we can get all this stuff somewhere else, right? So, yeah, so, well, before next meeting, I'm sure Flynn or someone else will have a conversation with the clerk's office, see if it's logistically possible to both comply with the recording requirements of the open meeting law and get you guys places to sit, right? So
staff will research and come back to you with options next month.
Right. Item 14, citizens' participation. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the board. No subject may be acted upon by the board unless that subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, give your name for the record. The amount of discussion on any single subject as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed may be limited. Item 15, we're adjourned. We don't need a